So we're going to think about joining these together now. We're going to use a 3mm rivet. So the diameter across that part of the rivet is 3mm. We need a 3mm hole in each of these pieces of steel, and this is going to pass through. So on the drawing, you can see that we're going to have the connection 65mm away from the end. So I could use the drawing just to mark that in the same way I was doing the other pieces. Bit of masking tape. Line up the end of the steel with the drawing and put a mark onto my piece of steel. Okay, so I need a hole through the piece of steel there. We're going to use this punch. The steel goes into the punch, and the punch has got a very faint, you may not be able to see it on the film, it's got a faint centre mark. I'm just lining that up with my line on my masking tape, and this arm here will push the die through the steel. So again, we've got some leverage, so we can apply some force, keep our fingers out of the way, we hold onto our piece of steel, put some weight behind it, and you'll see the punch will punch out a piece of steel which will disappear in that direction. Bring this all the way down, and you can see it's just punched a hole through. We can do the same with the scroll. If we put the scroll on the drawing there, and we decide whereabouts we want our hole to go, we could put our scroll into this, do same thing, and then the two pieces should go together by putting the rivet through the two holes. So I've got two holes, I've got a hole in the scroll now as well, and what I can do is use a rivet. I just put it through the outside of that piece and through the scroll. You can see that the rivet goes through the two and holds those two pieces together. Okay, so we'll just leave that in there loose for the moment. And there'll be a natural point where this scroll hits this piece of steel. What we need to do next is to mark that. So we can mark it on this piece, and we can mark it on here. So I'm using the same technique, piece of masking tape, just so I can use a pen. Sit them together, make sure that rivet's in position. And we are going to go through these two at that point there. So we can separate those two. Put that one on the punch, make sure it's lined up with the line. Use the arm, create the hole, and do exactly the same with this one. So you have a rivet going through this one here. And if we've been accurate, fingers crossed, should be able to get the rivet through that one as well, and that will hold together until we get the rivets put in permanently. Okay, so at the moment we've got two loose rivets put in. Now those rivets are made from mild steel, and if we put some pressure on that, the steel will just swell, it will just change shape, and it will hold those two, pinch the two pieces of steel together. I'll show you what I mean. We're going to use the same jig we use for bending, but we're going to put the piece we're going to rivet between these two posts here. And as I close this jig, it should just make the rivet deform and start to change shape. So squeeze that quite firmly. You should be able to see that the rivet has changed shape. And that's what's going to pinch these two and stop that from moving.